Again, you are going to want to work with a realtor who can come over and do a CMA, a comparative market analysis, which is a true analysis of in the moment of what your home's value is. A realtor is going to be looking at.
Okay, Adam, getting a divorce. Should I sell my house? We have two different situations. The first, which is one person is going to buy the other out. Can you speak into this for us?
Yeah, of course. This is a fairly common situation where one spouse is buying the exiting spouse out, meaning essentially the spouse that's staying is going to need to go through the home buying process like it's a new home. They're going to have to apply for a mortgage. So they're going to have to speak to a loan officer and get approved. Oftentimes, spouses who want to buy the other out just assume that they're going to be able to stay and afford the home, but they're going to have to look at your income, your debt to income ratio, all that good stuff, your credit, to see whether or not you qualify. Assuming you do, you also are going to want to get the home inspected. And I know that might sound silly considering you've been living in the home, but when we live in a home, we get used to the creaks and the noises and things like that. And we want to know for sure what's going on in the house. So if the roof is old and needs to be replaced, you're going to have to negotiate that with the exiting spouse, because once that divorce settlement is signed, you're not going to be able to renegotiate terms. So you do want to have a home inspection like it's a new house to determine what, if anything, needs to be repaired or replaced. And then you can negotiate that, either you directly or between the attorneys, to negotiate those terms. So that's very important. So those are two things that a lot of people don't think about when buying a spouse out, but you do need to do both.
Yeah. And then how do you determine like the price of the house, maybe like of how someone's going to be, like what you're going to be selling the house for at market value?
Yeah, of course. Again, you are going to want to work with a realtor who can come over and do a CMA, a comparative market analysis, which is a true analysis of in the moment of what your home's value is. A realtor is going to be looking at current sales, homes that are under agreement or pending, and also homes that are currently on the market, and look at all three and put together a snapshot of the home's potential value. And that is how you will come to an idea of what the home would be worth on the open.
Okay. I'm sure there's some wiggle room for negotiation in there on both parties' side.
Well, you would think, but I guess it is going to depend on if it's an amicable separation or not.
Yes. What about situation number 2 where both are moving out?
In that scenario, just like with the first scenario, you still are going to have a CMA done. You're still going to want to know what the house is worth because you're going to need to know what you're going to want to list it for. And then you could choose to still do a home inspection to know what issues might come up during the buyer's home inspection and how to either price the home accordingly or to what to fix, that those items won't come up when a buyer does their own home inspection. Subsequently, depending on where you are in the divorce timeline, if one of the spouses is already out of the house, we want to make sure the house doesn't give off the aura of divorce. Meaning we want to make sure that one closet and one side of the bed is completely empty. Or one nightstand is empty. So we want to give the appearance that the home is fully lived in and that we're not tipping our hand to prospective buyers that, hey, we're going through a divorce here. The house has got bad, vibes, or maybe thinking a buyer can take advantage of the situation. So we work with stagers. We come up with certain suggestions to alleviate those concerns.
I like that. Yeah, because then if the buyers might think, oh, they have to sell quickly, I can...
Exactly. And certainly we don't want that to give that appearance.
No, it's so good. In terms of for the house, like actually, like maybe one person's living in there, one person's not. And then with the staging, how do you take care of, like, how is that part maybe taking care of the person maybe just, or just when they're just not there for open houses and stuff?
The whole process is very emotional. Anytime you're selling a home, is certainly when you're going through a divorce. And we really try to do our best to take the stress as much as possible off the shoulders of that individual. So whether it's working with a staging company to utilize furniture that's in the home or maybe bring in some additional furniture. We come up with ways, different tips and tricks to make the house feel warm and lived in, and thus something that a buyer would really want to buy. And just like any normal purchase or sale, we also will come up with some suggestions that might add value to a home. Not necessarily talking about redoing a kitchen, but maybe a fresh coat of paint in a couple of rooms, things like that to help give the house some life and freshen it up where we feel it might be.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, since both are moving out, that it's in both their interests to get the top dollar for their house.
Absolutely. Yes, you hit the nail on the head. It's in both parties' interest to get top dollar. Yes.
Yeah. So circling back around, so we have these two different situations where one is buying out, the other person is moving out, or someone is moving out. Can you talk about before all of that? So like the starting point of valuing the home and stuff?
So that's a really good question. It's a little open-ended. When someone starts this process, they immediately think, okay, well, I need to speak to an attorney and maybe I need to speak to a financial person, but they don't necessarily think they need to talk to a realtor right away. And that is a mistake. You do want to be on top of knowing what your home's value is and what your options are from the get-go when it comes to real estate. And so oftentimes I'll talk to someone who's going through this process and they'll say, God, I wish I had gotten started on the real estate piece earlier. Even if they decide to stay in their home, you do need to know and explore what your options are, whether that's selling the home, buying something else, renting something, depending on what your financial situation is. So you do want to make sure that even though you might not think you need to get solid with the real estate right off the bat, it is something that you want to do. And I went off there on a tangent. I don't even remember the actual question. I apologize. What?
No, yeah. So like the starting point. No, that was so good. Like it's better sooner than later if you're going through this process like of a divorce to speak to a real estate agent to see like what maybe your options are, what the best scenario would be, what the best plan of action would be.
Yeah, I was just gonna, yes, absolutely. Look, I deal with clients who I meet, they might just be starting this process and I just be in touch with them and maybe it's a year before. But to just be mindful of that and know what's going on in the market, know the home's value, know what your options are, is critical. It's very important. And I know, of course, there's so many other moving pieces when you're going through this process, but you do want to make sure that you are well-versed on the real estate piece throughout the whole process.
Yeah. Especially since it's a lot of people's largest asset that they're going to be dividing.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. So true. So true.
That's good. Cool. That answers our questions of, should I sell my house in the case of a divorce? Thanks, Adam.
You're welcome. Hey guys, if you're liking this content and are eager to hear more, I would encourage you to keep on watching. Click on the button to subscribe and you will be the first to get new fresh content as soon as I put it on the internet.